Hi, I'm Megan Sherrill,
And I'm Michaela Odell.
and we're going to discuss what is ALS and what the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge purpose is. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, often referred to as Lou Gehrig's disease, is a progressive neurodegenerative disease that affects the nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord. Motor neurons reach from the brain to the spinal cord and from the spinal cord to the muscles throughout the body. The progressive degeneration of the motor neurons in ALS eventually leads to their death. When the motor neurons die, the ability of the brain to initiate and control muscle movement is lost. With voluntary muscle action progressively affected, patients in the later stages of the disease may become totally paralyzed. As motor neurons degenerate, they can no longer send impulses to the muscle fibers that normally result in muscle movement. Early symptoms of ALS often include increasing muscle weakness, especially involving the arms and legs, speech, swallowing, or breathing. When muscles no longer receive the messages from the motor neurons that they are required to function, the muscles begin to become smaller. Limbs begin to look thinner as muscle tissue becomes smaller.
Facts you should know about the ALS. ALS is not contagious. It is estimated that ALS is responsible for nearly 2 deaths per 100,000 population annually. Approximately 5,600 people in the U.S. are diagnosed with ALS each year. The incidence of ALS is 2 per 100,000 people, and it is estimated that as many as 30,000 Americans may have the disease at any given time. Although the life expectancy of ALS patient averages about 2 or 5 years from the time of diagnosis, this disease is a variable, and many people live with quality for 5 years or more. More than half of all patients live more than 3 years after diagnosis. About 20% of people with ALS live 5 years or more, and up to 10% will survive more than 10 years, and 5% will live 20 years. There are people in whom ALS has stopped progressing, and a small number of people in whom the symptoms of ALS reversed. ALS occurs throughout the world with no racial, ethnic, or stereotypic boundaries. ALS can strike anyone.
Although the cause of ALS is not completely understood, the recent years have brought a wealth of new scientific understanding regarding the psychology of this disease. While there is not a cure or treatment today that halts or reverses ALS, there is one FDA-approved drug, Riluzole, that modestly slows down the progression of ALS, as well as other drugs in clinical trials that hold promise.
Who gets ALS? ALS is a disorder that affects the function of nerves and muscles. Based on U.S. population studies, a little over 5,600 people in the U.S. are diagnosed with ALS each year. That's 15 new cases a day. It is estimated that as many as 30,000 Americans have the disease at any given time. According to the ALS database, 60% of the people with ALS in the database are men, and 93% of the patients in the database are Caucasian. Most people who develop ALS are between the ages of 40 and 70, with an average age of 55 at the time of diagnosis. However, cases of the disease do occur in persons in their 20s and 30s. Generally, though, ALS occurs in a greater percentages as men and women grow older. ALS is 20% more common in men than in women. However, with increasing age, the incidence of ALS is more equal between men and women.
Sporadic is the most common form of ALS in the United States. It occurs in 90 to 95% of all cases. Familial, occurring more than once in a family lineage, accounts for a very small number of cases in the United States, only 5 to 10%. Guamanian, an extremely high incidence of ALS, was observed in Guam and the Trust Territories of the Pacific in the 1950s. This information was a courtesy of the ALS Association. If you would like to learn more about ALS, visit www.alsa.org.
ALS Ice Bucket Challenge raises awareness for the disease.
How it works is you get nominated by a friend, then you donate and take on the challenge. Then you get to nominate another friend.
Ooh. cold. Get ready.
It's cold. Are you ready?